So today I'm going to discuss professionalism, social media, and social work practice within social work practice. Slide one, pardon me, slide two. So going over social media and the use within social work practice, it can be addressed uh, widely as technology has now been easily accessible and used to reach large targeted audiences, to be informative, to share information, to receive information, but there also can be some very unethical practices when using social media platforms as a way to share, exchange, receive, correspond with clients, other service providers. It can cause some barriers um, and may seem like it's a lack of professionalism if it's not handled effective or efficiently. Social media and why ethics matter. Okay, so technology and social media platforms are now a part of the everyday social work practice, as I mentioned, and expressed through the NASW. Digital tools can improve communication, access, and documentation. However, the technology can also create risks related to privacy, boundaries, confidentiality, and professional judgment. Social workers must think ethically before posting, texting, securing, or using any type of AI services. I do have an example. Well, during my one of my career choices, I was completing the referral process and seeking out a client to come in to be scheduled to complete intake for services to begin. And um, I received a massive amount of emails from this client referencing um, my Facebook posts and pages that I had did back in 2009. So they used these photos, and it wasn't anything derogatory or anything that could have been used against me in a negative manner. But I was shocked to see the deaths and the limbs that a client would explore looking to defame their character. But then I also was able to understand that in terms of someone's trials and tribulations and they're facing their when their backs is against the wall, of course they're going to look for any fallacies, especially within the service providers or us being as a social workers in place that's really having to give them whether it's advice or guidance for such a detrimental time in their lives. They look for any type of gray area to then deflect whatever is going on and put the focus back on and the blame back onto others. So I was not reprimanded for anything that the client shared, but it did place me um, at a heightened sense of awareness when it comes to what I share on social media, how I interact with clients. Because on the brighter side, and not in more of a negative light, I did have another client that she was an elderly client, and she really took to the way that I provided the care, gave her all the resources, but she tried to befriend me on Facebook and became offended when I wouldn't accept her friend requests. This client of mine began sending me at least 10 to 15 pictures per day with not only my face, but my child's face attached as well. And then I had to explain to her how that may have seemed to my job, and it was placing me at risk and making it seem like I was fraternizing and socializing with clients outside of my work hours, and which may have caused a conflict of interests in the services that I was providing. So once I explained that to them and the boundaries that I have to maintain as a social worker, caseworker, um, it was respected. So moving along, I don't want to get hung up too much on the misuse of social media and the platforms and how it can be misconstrued not only for us as social workers when we're using it to share information, but how the clients can view us when they have such easy access. Um, so again, like piggybacking off of what I was saying and moving on to slide 3 about social media surveillance, often I didn't know until this assignment that it may have been a fallacy of mine in practice to actually search for clients prior to engagements, I guess during the referral or process. So social media surveillance, and that means like a social worker searches for a client's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok without discussing it with the client first. As mentioned by Brian, and the worker may believe the search helps with assessment or safety planning when it really can cause an implicit bias to services and based on the information that you have presented in front of you will definitely hinder your choice when you're looking to fill slots and services, whether it's seeking out a new client for parenting or for any other juncture of service. You would ultimately not go, you would make some biases when you are presented with someone. And that is a bad way to, operate as a social worker, and it should not be done. The worker may believe that, I'm sorry, the ethical problem is that the online search can feel intrusive, it damage trust, and blur the boundary between professionalism and the assessments and or surveillance. Social media information may also be incomplete, outdated, misleading, or taken out of context. Texting clients. Okay, so this a personal experience that I have with texting clients when I am utilizing my cell phone as a primary source of contact during after hour work hours. So this too can become quite a challenge in providing services because sometimes clients want immediate response and they do not follow the guidelines of whatever your work hours may be. And so it'll be hard to leave work things at work and stay focused on your home life or have that balance of such when clients are able to make contact 24 hours a day. So oftentimes I will wake up and I will have text messages at the wee hours of the morning or in the middle of the night, and it will be a unreasonable request for the client, and I will have to then explain and or stop answering my phone. But then in certain instances where children may be at imminent danger, I would always communicate with caretakers that my phone was always on and you can reach me. Did people take advantage of it? Absolutely. But a social worker uses a personal phone to text a client about appointment services or sensitive case details. Text may be seen by others, sent to the wrong number, stored in personal devices, or backed up to unsecured accounts. Even short messages can reveal protected or sensitive information. Texting should follow agency policies, informed consent procedures, and approved secure communication systems. So let's say, for instance, when I did receive a referral and I did not have an address on file for a client, I would send a generalized text message saying, hey, I'm looking to speak with this person. And if this is the correct number, if you can have this person give me a call back at their earliest convenience, and I would greatly appreciate it, as opposed to texting, as mentioned by NASW, anybody's personal information without their permission. I knew that I would be violating HIPAA and not practicing any professional standards or ethics. So, AI tools. While in social work practice, it may be very convenient to use AI tools um, when completing treatment plans and doing case studies and providing summaries for clients. AI can be misleading, it can be incorrect, just as if any other online resource that's not properly researched. So, what I'm trying to say is that when using AI or any tools, I think it will be best to build your own ideal hypothesis and then use it as a review tool for any type of punctuality or grammar um, and corrections that may need to be reviewed and fixed before submitting. Or if you like, I've used AI tools at work when I am struggling to create a coaching form for an employee, or if I'm struggling to work with on, like, for instance, right now I have implemented a new intake, a short rapid intake form for our clients to fill out, as opposed of the larger 15 page packet that we have for the intake. And I advise the staff that once we utilize the rapid intake form, then over the next course of visits from the clients, then we will begin to fill out the rest and get more detailed information based on their history and what they're willing to share. But without the use of the AI tool, it would have been hard for me to conceptualize what I was trying to actually say given the demands of the program. So with use of the AI tools, I had to be very detail oriented in what I needed the form to outline and make sure that it was still within compliance of the agency. So when using these tools and you're using them for any type of social worker and case related information, it's always within best practices not to enter anybody's personal information into any type of tool that is generated by artificial intelligence. Um, this can expose confidential information if the tool is not approved, secured, or covered by the agency's policies. AI can produce biased, inaccurate, or overly confident recommendations. AI should support, not replace, professional judgment, supervision, cultural humility, and ethical decision making. So, HIPAA. So, again, as I was mentioning, that when you're utilizing social media platforms and online tools, it's best that it be encrypted when you're sending emails, have a two-way authenticator, so that way nobody's information is being compromised. Um, or shared without their permission. So HIPAA, any violations of that will be a social worker wants to email a client's discharge plan to another provider. This should be done on a company's computer only, no personal computers. Um it should also be a consent on file from the client. For I can use another work related example. Often I worked in hybrid or remote positions, and it would be misconstrued with other staff that this means that you can just be in public and meeting with clients and or completing work at maybe, let's say, a Starbucks, Tim Hortons, or out at a community um, operated venue. So this in turn would cause a HIPAA violation because personal information and personal phone calls not be held in public places where the information can possibly be perceived, received, or misconstrued by another party that's unrelated to the case. So the risk is the message may contain protected health information. It could be sent to the wrong person through an unsecured system. The most ethical response will be using the agency approved secure communication systems, confirm, authorized, or permitted disclosure, verify the recipient, and share only the minimum necessary information. Confidentiality. How do we protect our clients? Our clients are best protected by signing consents and us as a social worker not breaching their right and sharing any unwarranted information that is completely unrelated to the case, whether it will be with another staff or the service provider. It will be always within best practices to maintain confidentiality of our clients and their needs. Um, a scenario will be a worker discusses a client situation in a team chat or a virtual meeting while working from home. The risk is that family members, roommates, screenshots, recordings, or open screens may expose confidential information, and that will place our clients at a risk for defamation and or extreme humiliation. Ethical response will be using private spaces, headphones, password protected platforms, secure files, and avoid naming clients unless it's necessary. So the lack of professionalism and or such, right? So a client sends a friend request. This is a scenario, I'm sorry. A client sends a friend request to a social worker or comments on the worker's public post. So I went over that when I was talking about a few of my clients who had access to my social media platforms and used this information to not only the first client try to make false accusations about my skill set or experience, and the second one who actually wanted to befriend me. So the risk is that accepting the friend request can blur professional boundaries and expose personal information of the client's identity. The ethical response will be do not accept any personal friend requests from that client. So, a few practical guidelines that social workers can follow to make sure that ethical decisions are always being followed is pause before posting on social media so that we're not offending anyone, we're not violating any ethical rules. Pause before texting, searching, or using any AI resources. And that's suggested by NASW. Always ask, will this protect the client's dignity, privacy, and trust? Use the agency approved platforms and follow the HIPAA guidelines for confidentiality, documentation, and policies. Seek supervision when technology creates uncertainty. If any any customer is repeatedly taking advantage of the social media platforms, if you feel harassed, I feel like it's always best to be transparent with your supervisor so that you're not viewed in any negative light. Let's say, for instance, maybe if you needed to be subpoenaed for court for any reason, and you wouldn't want to be viewed as if you were making any crossing any professional boundaries with customers. So keep professional and personal digital identity separate. That's all. I hope I touched base on the hot and highlighted the importance of continuing to use social media to reach larger audiences, be informative, provide resources online, but also remembering that we can breach our customers' rights, and we don't want to do that. So thank you for listening.